everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Kristen, this is my booktube, and in today's video we are doing another video that is not bookish at all, really, but it is a continuation of the video that I uploaded last week of my Eras Tour DIY outfit, because I also vlogged our entire trip to Seattle and Vancouver for the Eras concert. So naturally, since I just posted that one, the next follow-up should be the actual travel vlog. So today's video is the long-awaited travel vlog from when I went to the Eras concert. Now, just so we're all on the same page and no one is confused, because this video is like 6 months late at this point, this travel vlog was filmed at the beginning of December, so if you see a lot of Christmassy stuff, that is why. I went to the final Eras show on December 8th of 2024 in Vancouver, British Columbia with some of my friends, and I wanted to still share it even though it is no longer Christmas time and we are about 6 months past the end of the Eras tour. I still wanted to share it with you guys. I still wanted to edit it all together so that I could have it to look back on myself. So yeah, that is what we're doing today. I'm gonna keep this intro pretty short, pretty sweet, so we can jump on into the meat of this video. So we're starting this travel vlog as many travel vlogs start, and that is on an airplane. I did the normal airplane things. I ate some food. I looked out the window. I read on my Kindle. I looked out the window some more. I looked at the little engine go. It's quite hypnotic, honestly. And then, hey, look, it's Seattle. If you squint real hard, you can see the needle right there on the lower right-hand corner. And it is a very pretty aerial view, if I do say so myself. Then I got my Orca card, hopped on the train, and made my way to our hotel. And y'all, look at this view. I spent most mornings looking at this view. Then, once I met up with my friends, we went on a little walk, decided to get some dinner at Pike Place. We walked by the infamous gum wall, which, believe it or not, this is like 2 weeks after they cleaned it. We did a walking tour later in the week, and our tour guide informed us that they do in fact clean these off every 5 years. This hallway gets pretty gross. Then we made our way into this little bookshop. I found some Russian Revolution era propaganda, as I'm one to do, and then we continued our walk as the sun set. It is only about 5 p.m. at this time, but because we're so far north, the sun sets super early. And while we were wandering around Pike Place, one of the stall owners actually suggested that we take a little ferry across the harbor. So we did that to catch a nice view for the sunset, and that's what this video is from. And fun fact about the hotel we're staying at, the Edgewater, this is actually where the Beatles stayed when they took that infamous picture of them fishing out of the side of the building. That was at this hotel. Then the next day we went to Oddfellows and got some brunch. It was a super cute place. The food was really good. And then there was also a nice bookshop next door. So we got to walk off a bit of our breakfast with some book shopping after the fact. This bookshop was really cute. Of course, they pulled out the Taylor Swift theme books and made those front-facing for the event, because there were definitely a lot of people staying in Seattle and driving up for the concert just like we did. So we were not unique in our ideas. Leave it to me to find the Agatha Christie section. I also found this beautiful copy of Murder on the Lynx. It was so pretty. I believe it was like $25 though. So as much as I really wanted to buy it, I decided to leave it because that was just a little too much, but it is such a beautiful copy. So I had to take a video of it so that I could show you guys. Then after the bookstore, we did some more walking as we made our way to the Starbucks roastery. Yes, we are nothing if not a basic group of people. So, of course, when in Seattle, we had to visit the roastery. This is the only Starbucks that we actually went to, but I will say this is the only time we actually went to a Starbucks, and this was a really cool experience because not only did they have like coffee and the bakery and stuff like that, but they also had mixed drinks. So we got some espresso martinis and they were so good. We got to see the beans being roasted. I have been to one other Starbucks Reserve. I went to the one in Chicago when I visited Chicago a couple years ago. And that one was really cool, but as far as I remember, they did not have anything other than coffee and baked goods, maybe like some other food stuff, but they definitely didn't have a full-on bar. This one had 2 bars, and also I think they do mixology classes in there too. It was definitely the most interesting Starbucks I've ever been to. The quote original Starbucks is also in Seattle, but the line for that one was always insanely long. And we were told on our little food tour later in the week that it's not even actually the original one. Like the original store location is farther down on the road. So I definitely don't think we really missed out on much by not going to the actual original Starbucks and just going to the Reserve instead. So later this evening, my friends and I ended up going our separate ways just to do some stuff on our own. I did some walking around the area close to our hotel. There were a lot of pretty lights and a lot of stores to check out. And then we reconvened at this gaudy looking Christmas bar that was in our hotel. You had to like put your name on the list, and it was so crowded that like they would only let people sit for like 2 hours at a time. So we used our allotted time, and then we made our way to the German Christmas market in Seattle. Now, I am a sucker for a German Christmas market, and of course, it is not a German Christmas market unless you get some mulled wine. And yes, I did also get the souvenir cup. Then to add to the ambiance, I also got some Kartoffel potatoes with cheese on top. I am not gonna lie, I mostly made my dinner decision based on the aesthetic of them scraping this cheese on top of this pile of potatoes. It was so much food. I could not finish it. Honestly, my friend and I probably could have just split one and been okay, but you know what? C'est la vie when in Rome, or Seattle, I guess. There were so many pretty Christmas lights to look at. There was this really cool double-decker carousel in the middle. This is definitely one of the best Christmas markets that I've ever been to. Look at me, having a great time. I also accidentally took this slow-mo video, which is really funny to look back on. It was supposed to be just a 2-second clip of me like smiling at the camera, but instead it's like a 30-second slowdown of me on a carousel. Then the next day we went to the Museum of Pop. It is a pop culture museum in Seattle, and this was such a cool experience. They had a bunch of different sections. One was like a movie prop area, and it was divided by genre. So we had the sci-fi room with costumes and props from Star Wars, Star Trek, Terminator, Doctor Who, Alien, and so many more. I'm not gonna lie, I am not a big sci-fi girly, so there's not a ton that I filmed in here just because this is not really the genre that I am super into. But then afterwards, we made our way to the horror room. And this one was one that I was super into. I loved the aesthetic choices of some of these displays. Like, I am a sucker for a stained glass window, but all of these like Dracula themed stained glass windows in this little room were so cool with the bust in the middle. I was obsessed. I was living. Of course, they have to have some costumes and props from the classics. Then we made our way to the fantasy area, and this one was also so cool in the way it was set up aesthetically. Of course, they have the cool props from Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. They even had some stuff about Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. So it's not just all about movies. They were also including games and books and other things that are also within the same genre, and it was really cool to see. This is probably one of my favorite museums that I've been to just because they really went all in on the aesthetic of each of these sections, and I love that. I think it's so cool, it's so immersive, and it just makes the entire experience so much better. So if you're in Seattle and you need something to do, the Museum of Pop is something that I would highly recommend, and you could easily spend an entire afternoon in there. And it's also really great on a rainy day. This morning that we went was pretty drizzly, so it was really nice to be able to stay dry for a little bit. And I believe by the time we left the museum, it had actually cleared up some and we were able to avoid most of the rain. So, pro tip, if you're in Seattle and it's pretty rainy and you don't want to be out in it, go to a museum. I would recommend the Museum of Pop, but you could go to any museum, honestly. They also had a couple spots with some fantasy commentary from George R.R. Martin about Lord of the Rings. They also had this whole room that was just fantasy paintings, and they are so cool. I love the style of the art with these really chunky gilded frames. I'm a sucker for a really thick gilded frame, so these were right up my alley. And this was the hallway like in between the exhibits. So this isn't even an exhibit itself. This is just in between the main areas of the exhibits. There were also a couple really big exhibits having to do with music. There was a whole section that just had a collection of guitars from various artists. There was a really big exhibit about Jimi Hendrix, and there was also a really big exhibit about Nirvana as well, as you would expect from a museum about pop culture that is located in Seattle, where Nirvana first started. This museum is so cool, and I could definitely spend many hours wandering through this museum and just reading and looking at everything. I really loved all of these photos that they had in the Nirvana section. It was really cool to see like snapshots of them on tour or see their badges from various shows in the glass case as well. It just made it feel a lot more personal. Then they had this entire K-pop section that was really cool, and they had all of the light sticks on the wall. And then more costumes from various shows and movies over the years with little blurbs about either the creators of the costumes themselves, the story, the music, people that had a hand in making the end product in one way or another. Then after the Museum of Pop, we went on our food tour, so we had to make our way back to Pike Place. We got to see them do the famous fish throw at the counter right at the front entrance of Pike Place. I was told to stand to the side so I would not be in the splash zone, so I'm sorry that I didn't get you a front-on view, but I was not about to spend the rest of my day covered in fish juices. You'll have to forgive me. I did not know how large Pike Place was. It's crazy huge, and there's everything from art to food to produce to fresh seafood. There's so much at Pike Place. It's crazy. We got to try a couple different things. This seafood chowder was one of the best things I have ever eaten. I ate so much good food on this little excursion. I still think about the food that I ate on this day occasionally. Then the next day, it was time to make our way to Canada. Yes, it is concert day, and we are on our way. We're driving. We're sitting in traffic. We make it to the Peace Arch. I didn't film it, but because we were sitting in these lines at border control for so long, us and a bunch of other Swifties got out of our cars and started running around exchanging friendship bracelets. It was so fun. I wish I could have gotten some video of it, but I was actively running around, so I was not filming anything. And just like that, it is time for the main event. It is time for the concert. I have my outfit. I am feeling so good. I'm getting compliments. I'm having a little drink. I'm having a great time. For some reason, one of the crew is dressed as Buddy the Elf. I don't know why. He was the only one dressed up. They never said anything about it. I assume he did that of his own accord, but there's really no telling why he's actually dressed like that. But it was pretty funny, especially because our section was like the only ones who can see him, so I really don't know what the purpose was. Gracie Abrams was our opener. She did amazing. She looked so beautiful in this satin gown that she was wearing. Her performance was great, and then she gave this beautiful little speech before playing her final songs and Taylor coming on.
How are we supposed to have the words for it? We don't yet, but I do know that we have each other. Thanks to Taylor, her music, her generosity, her curiosity, her wild and unparalleled pen, her superpower of seeing into our lives and creating soundtracks for every single formative moment that we've had and that we will have. She has given us these things, and tonight we are all here to remind her how deeply she's touched us, how much we appreciate every single tiny detail that she dreams up to delight us, and to thank her from the bottom of our hearts for giving us the time of our lives. So, we've got a few songs for you tonight while we all wait for Taylor. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for indulging us. Thank you for your magic. We're gonna play some more music.
Yes, you are seeing that right. There are people in literally every single section of this arena, including behind the stage. They decided to open up the back of the stage, and they were like super discounted tickets. I want to say under $100. I could be wrong on that, but they were significantly cheaper than the seats that actually had a view of the stage. And then before you know it, Gracie's set is over and we see the cleaning cart, the infamous cleaning cart, enter the stage. I still think it's funny that she kept the cleaning cart until the very end for the entire tour, even though literally everyone knows that she is inside of that cleaning cart. I think it's so funny. Everyone was just so excited for this final show, and I feel like you could feel the emotions running super high in the room, especially once the clock hit midnight and the show fully started. Now I'm gonna try my best to play y'all some of my favorite clips because I was so afraid of copyright last time that I didn't really include much of the concert, but maybe me talking over some of it and like breaking it up will help it not get copyright striked. So first of all, this entrance, iconic. Like, mother is mothering. She is giving us her all for one last time.
We get to spend the last night of the Eras Tour with 60,000 beautiful people in Vancouver. I guess what I'm trying to say is you're making me feel like I'm the man.
Everyone was expecting something big to be announced at this concert. At least there were a lot of people theorizing that she was going to announce something, whether that be debut Taylor's version, Reputation Taylor's version, an announcement of a new tour documentary. People were expecting something. An extended version of the concert, which in my opinion is insane because it's already a 3.5-hour concert. People were just speculating that something was going to happen. And even though it was a pretty routine show for the most part, it was still super special just in the fact that it was the very last one. I really love the way that they use the light up wristbands to make the audience part of the show. Like doing this heart during Lover, lighting the bracelets at different times to give like a sparkle effect for Fearless. It's all just so meticulously planned out and executed so perfectly for pretty much 2 years straight. It's crazy. Even though there's, you know, the jokes on TikTok of the Errors tour and all of the things that went wrong, it's still such a fantastic show. So many details. She is all over the stage for 3.5 hours. She barely gets any time off stage. She is a crazy performer, taking us through almost 20 years worth of music. When we first got these tickets, we were kind of thinking that it was going to be a bad view just because we were so far off to the side of the stage. But this ended up being such a cool view because not only could we see everything happening on stage for the most part, except for the things that were like right up against the main big screen, but we could also see the audience and it just looked so cool. The little girl that got the 22 hat, I believe, was also sitting in our section or nearby where we were sitting because we did end up seeing her after this. And she was so cute. I love the 22 hat part. It is so fun to see the excitement on the faces of the people that are chosen to receive the 22 hat. And this little girl was so excited. It was adorable.
He calls me up and he's like, I still love you. And I'm like, this is exhausting, you know? Like, we're never getting back together. For the last time, no! Red, that I'd love to play for you if you happen to have 10 minutes to spare.
All too well 10-minute version in a stadium full of people yelling "fuck the patriarchy" at the top of their lungs is truly a religious experience. See, and this is what I mean by we had a really good view because I could see pretty much everything happening on stage better than I remember being able to see it in Arlington. And I think that's because we were at the front of the stage in Arlington in the lower bowl. But being on the side means that we can see a lot better when she struts up and down the stage. And we could really see how she hustles all around that stage and uses every single square inch so that everyone can have a good view and enjoy the show.
About it. And so that's what I did, and This is a story about a girl named Betty.
One for the money, two for the show. The devil was ready, so watch you go. Sometimes you just don't know the answer. Someone's on their knees and asked you. She would have made such a lovely bride. What a shame she's fucked in the head. You'll find the real thing instead. She'll patch up your tapestry that I shred. And if I didn't know better, I think you were talking to me now. I didn't know better. I think you were still around. Band-aids don't fix bullet holes. You'll say sorry just for show. If you live like that, you live with God.
The good side about this being my second time to see this is the fact that I am more familiar with the set and the flow of the concert, so I was able to anticipate when things like the pyrotechnics were happening. Y'all, and I'm not kidding, this warmed us on the ground. We could feel it where we were sitting. It was crazy. And then we finally made our way to the newest section, the part that I had never seen because I purposely avoided watching the lives and stuff for the Tortured Poets department. And it was so good. Can we also just take a second to recognize how insane it is that this tour started before this album was even announced, and then the tour went on for so long that they added a whole section for this album to this concert. It's crazy. I don't know how many Swifties we have watching this travel vlog right now, but in case that there are some that are unfamiliar, I will fill you in. But this little platform is actually driven by one of the dancers, I believe. It's operated by an actual human, nonetheless, and is jokingly called the Roomba because she rides around on the stage on what looks to be a square Roomba. I like to believe that Buddy the Elf is inside of it driving it around. I cannot confirm that that is actually the case, but that is the conclusion that my friends and I came to because it would be so funny. Like, just imagine little Buddy the Elf inside of there driving this whole thing around. And I think that this is where our seats really shone for me because I could see everything. I could see the light design, the dancers formation. I had a good view from the front with the screen, and I could see the bracelets light up in time with the music. It was such a good spot. Honestly, this is an underrated spot to watch the Eras tour from. I could even see the backup singers singing their hearts out. It was so good. There she goes on her Roomba again.
I love you, it's ruining my life. Forgive you, 'cause I judged you, only a fool. I love you, it's ruining my life. Forgive you, I judged you, only a fortnight.
People also thought that Post Malone would make an appearance at this final show for Fortnite, and people, for some reason, thought that the dancer sitting with Taylor was Post Malone at one point, but obviously he looks nothing like Post Malone, so I think it was just wishful thinking on the part of the people who thought that. It would be very cool, but that did not happen. Another cathartic experience was screaming the bridge of The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived with a stadium of like 60,000 people. You are obligated to yell the words to this bridge no matter where you are, and it comes on. It does not matter if you are in a grocery store or a stadium. This is the energy you should always bring to this bridge. It is so meta to see a performance of a song that is written about how she felt at the beginning of this tour and see it performed on stage at the end of this tour. It's so trippy, but I love it. It's very much that meme from Euphoria where they're like, is this play about us? Because yes, it is about us. I apologize that I did not get that much of the surprise songs, or at least I'm not going to play that much. And the reason for that is because I was actively sobbing during a lot of it, where I made what I can only describe as the sound of a dying whale at certain points because I was crying.
What songs really encapsulate how I feel about tonight? And so I decided to go back to the beginning. I don't know what I want, so don't ask me, 'cause I'm still trying to figure it out. Don't know what's down this road.
Honestly, New Romantics didn't get me in my feels all that much. A Place in This World 100% did.
I'm not the only one who feels the way I do. You stood with her shaking hands, the garden stands wide.
Long Live, I don't know what it is with that song, but it makes me cry like a baby.
It was the end of an era, the start of an age.
I'm pretty sure most of the people in this stadium are actively sobbing at this piano version of Long Live, myself included. If you listen close enough, you can probably hear me sniffling.
We will be remembered. Girls carrying the shoes down in the lobby.
And as you can tell by the distressed screaming of the lyrics, pairing it with New Year's Day was a choice that did not help my mental state at all. If anything, it just made it worse.
The years passed like scenes of a show. The professor said to write what she knows. Looking backwards might be the only way to move forward.
The triple mashup of Long Live New Year's Day and the manuscript on piano was absolutely devious, Miss Swift. Were you trying to murder us? I think she was trying to kill us, to be quite honest. If you can hear me sobbing while I'm singing, no you can't.
Please don't ever become a stranger whose laugh I could recognize anywhere. And hold on to the memories, they will hold on to you. Hold on.
A girl behind us actually took this picture of my friend and I sobbing and hugging, so if you need visual proof that I was an absolute wreck during this, here you go, this is it.
And long live the walls we crashed through. How the kingdom lights shine. The me and you. And long, long live all the magic we made. And bring on all the pretenders. 'Cause one day we will be remembered.
souvenir from my trip to your shores. Now and then I reread the manuscript, but the story isn't mine anymore.
And then right back into regular programming. After all of that emotional trauma, we are expected to just go straight back into our regular midnight section to finish off the show.
Everybody agrees, everybody agrees.
It's me.
And of course, she had a different Midnight's bodysuit on for this final show, but nonetheless, we were channeling similar energies.
When he was doing lines and crossing all the lines, someone told his white collar crimes to the FBI. And I don't dress for villains or for innocent. I'm on my vigilante shit. And by the way, I'm going out tonight. Would you give us one more song, please?
And before we knew it, it was time for the final song, Karma. And though I'm pretty sure her jacket is pink, it looks very close to the color of my jacket, so I was absolutely living.
Promise that I'll track you down and step by step from town to town. Scream like justice, Karma is a queen. Karma takes all my friends to somewhere. Karma is the guy on the cheese.
And of course, she said Guy on the Chiefs for the final iteration of Karma.
Get your attention to the main stage. Make the most amount of love possible and give all your love to the most magnificent band in all the land.
It was an amazing show, as always. Taylor and everyone involved in this show put their all into this final iteration, and at the end, you can really see how emotional everyone is to be at the end of this iconic tour. This has been over a year and a half of these people's lives. Hundreds of shows across thousands of miles. It's crazy. And I was lucky enough to get to be there for it. I think myself and everyone in the arena were in a daze. It's crazy how a show that's been so prominent in pop culture and in our lives for the last almost 2 years is finally coming to an end. This is one of those experiences that I'm going to remember and look back on for a very long time and be nostalgic about it. And there she is, exiting the stage for the final time, waving at us all goodbye. And then the next day, we woke up and grabbed some coffee because we definitely needed it from the night before. And then we started our trek back to Seattle. Of course, we had to stop at the little gift shop at the border so that we could get all of our accoutrement, all of our souvenirs as we left Canada after probably about 24 hours total. Lots of options here. I personally went with this tiny bottle of maple syrup because, I mean, it's Canada. You gotta get some maple syrup. And then I also got these Biscoff Kit Kats just because I was curious. I love Biscoff cookies and cookie butter, so I got these because I figured I would like them. And I did. I wish there was more Biscoff flavor actually in the cookie themselves though. Then just like that, we were back at the border, heading back to Seattle. We made it through without any issue, and then we started the trek back down south with some pretty cool views along the way, if I'm being honest. This area of the country is very beautiful. I am a mountain lover myself, so seeing all of these pines and the beautiful mountain terrain was right up my alley. So I personally enjoyed this scenic trek back to Seattle. And as we made it to the city, we enjoyed our final night in Seattle. My friend and I made a trek back down to Pike Place so that we could get some good food from the local vendors one more time before heading home. I grabbed some lentil soup and some baklava, which was absolutely delicious. Not gonna lie, 6 months later, I still think about the lentil soup that I had from there because it was just so good. And just like that, it was time to go back home, back to reality. I made my way to my gate at the Seattle airport, found my seat, and we commenced the journey back home. If I look like I'm tired, it's because I am. My tattoo was still going strong, and there were a lot of hungover looking Swifties on this flight, if I do say so myself. I once again ate some food and did some looking out of the windows as I made my way back home. And when we landed, it was a picture-perfect sunset to end the travel. Alrighty guys, that is pretty much it for the Seattle/Vancouver Eras Tour vlog. This trip was not without its hiccups, its negatives, but I think overall, looking back on it, it was still a really fun trip. I'm really glad that we got to make the trip. I'm glad that I got to go to the final show of the Eras Tour. It is truly the end of an era. And I did include a bit more of the actual audio from the concert because there were, as you would expect, a couple more speeches, things that were special about the very last show on the tour to close out this chapter in pop culture history. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like down below. Let me know. If you went and saw Taylor Swift on the Eras Tour, also comment down below where you went, what night, maybe what your surprise songs were. The first time we went was near the beginning of the tour. I believe Arlington was stop number like 3 or 4, something like that. So it wasn't the very beginning, but it was pretty close to the beginning. So it was really cool to go once near the beginning of the tour and then go to the very last show. There were quite a few things that changed. We got a whole nother album in that time, a whole nother set added to the show itself, things taken away. So it was really cool to be able to experience both, and hopefully it was also fun to watch as well. I have not really been on social media all that much, but they were filming at the final Era show, so I am anticipating, if not a second version of the Eras concert movie, because they did add it and take out so much stuff. Maybe some sort of tour documentary, I'm not entirely sure, but all I know is that they were filming pretty much the entire evening. So there's definitely something going on there. Still haven't really heard anything about what that might be, but I know they have the footage and they're probably gonna do something with it. I just don't know what quite yet. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. Once again, I hope this was an enjoyable watch for you. I tried to make it as entertaining as possible. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.